All right, we're going on.
Okay. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Casual Convo Friday. Happy Friday to everybody. I'm just so excited. I know everybody's like, woo woo. We're excited to be just at Friday. Weekend coming. Today, we have a special guest, Nate, of course, joining me from Georgia, and Jill is with Link, Jill Valdez. And I'm excited, Jill, because you're talking about one of my favorite subjects. We're talking about how to create a vision that everyone embraces. This is good if you work with teams, if you're part of an organization, but vision is such an important thing for owners to get behind and to communicate to their team members. So Nate, he's going to take it away with some questions. I'm going to take it away with the comments. So if you are tuning in live, then I will be checking back in on comments on LinkedIn and also on our comment chat right here. So Nate, what's that first question for Jill?
Oh, me? Oh, okay. All right. So Jill,
get in the game, man. Get in the game.
I'm with you. It's Friday. Leave me alone.
And
So
this
Jill, back, a while back, it was a real big thing to really promote your vision statement and the vision of your company and all that jazz. Is that still a thing that's relevant right now? Is it something that companies should still aspire to do, or is that just was that just a marketing fad for a little bit and it's kind of gone away?
Oh, well, I'm sure it was a marketing fad, but I really do hope that companies are still having vision, because that vision, that's what's going to help companies not only be attractive to their ideal client, but that vision, that paints the picture of the future for their staff.
Was that just a marketing fad?
That's me. Sorry. Keep going, Jill. My media was on the phone. Keep going.
So if a company is not having a vision and clearly communicating that, then their people are going to have no idea where the company is going in the future. So I hope that companies are still doing that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So when you're talking about vision statements and stuff, can you a lot of companies, especially the smaller ones, they don't really know exactly what a vision statement should actually entail, or how to write one or anything like that. Can you just kind of break down for us what you look for in a good vision statement?
Oh, yeah. Thank you. So vision statements, this is a picture of the future. It's the destination. That's what I teach people is vision is the destination. Where are you going? So the big pieces that you want is, for one, you want your vision statement to be really, really big. When I'm teaching this to nonprofits like churches and religious organizations, I tell them it's got to be God-sized. So it's got to be huge. And it's also got to paint a mental picture. Walt Disney had the most amazing vision statement, and he had created it before he had even broke ground in Anaheim. And so when you read his vision statement, you're like, wow, I can totally picture what Disneyland's going to be. Granted, we have, hindsight, but even just by reading that, you're like, wow, I totally see it. So it's got to be really big, paint a mental picture. And then also it wants to be focused on change. How is somebody coming into your organization going to be different after having interacted with you? So, yeah, really big, really big. It's got to be really big, paint a mental picture, and then focus on how people are going to be different after having interacted with your company.
Gotcha. So what are some consequences to a company for not having an actual vision statement that whether it's specific or not? Like, what's the consequences? How can that negatively impact a company when clients or investors or companies looking to partner with you and stuff like that sees that you're kind of not up to scratch in some areas? Can you go over that with us?
Sure. For one, if you don't have a vision statement, people are going to be like thinking probably you're irrelevant, because there are so many companies that actually do have vision statements now. So if you don't have a vision statement, a lot of times people are going to be like, you're stuck way back in the 70s, 60s. The other thing is if I'm somebody looking to be a part of a company, if I'm wanting to hire them or I'm going to be their customer, I got to know what they're about. And the only way that I'm going to know that is through that vision statement. That's going to be the attraction to the audience, to the people that you're trying to market to, is you've got to be able to tell them clearly what your company is all about. And then same thing for the staff. The problem is if companies don't have a vision statement, then the question becomes, what are we all about? And then you see them, they're the ones who are like always changing. They're always changing what they're about. They're changing what they're doing because there's nothing keeping them on task. There's nothing that's directing what they're doing, and nothing's directing the why of what they're doing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Do you recommend, Jill? So people, a lot of times on their website, they throw up their mission, and there's definitely, I think, some confusion between what's a mission statement and what's your vision statement.
Yeah.
And do you think that, more companies should put up on their websites and in their marketing materials, like, this is our vision, or is that something that should be kept more internally within the team?
It can go either way. A lot of times the first of all, understanding the difference between the two. The vision statement, that is the picture of the future. And it's important for customers to know that. It probably is more internal. A mission statement, that helps people understand the why of the company. And so when I'm helping organizations create a mission statement, we ask 3 questions. Who's your ideal client? Who's your ideal customer? What are their needs? And how are you going to meet those needs?
Right.
So from the answers of those 3 questions, then they craft their mission statement. And that is definitely a piece that you want to have out there for all to see. But a vision statement, that can tend to be more of an internal document. But
cool.
Yeah. But it can also be a really valuable marketing piece as well.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
So speaking to the fact that it's more of an internal document, obviously you need to get some outsiders to buy in, but most importantly, you got to get your employees to buy in, right? Your employees, your contractors, and whatnot. Talk us through how you go about or some tips and tricks about how to get people to actually buy into the actual vision statement itself, right? Because if they're not, then they're just there to collect a paycheck and lost in the sauce. So how do we get people to buy into those?
Yeah, that's a great question, because if you don't have buy-in, you're gonna have people out there doing their own thing. They're gonna be way off task, way off target. So that just makes a whole big mess. The biggest way that I think that companies can do this is that they need to be communicating. So this is what I teach, is that first of all, find out from your employees what they're thinking is happening in the company. Ask them those questions. Do a SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. Hear from them what is actually happening and what their perspective is. For one, you then get that opportunity to give them a voice. And that's really important. People want to be heard. And when you are giving them that platform to be heard, that automatically allows for buy-in, because they start feeling like, hey, what I said contributes to what the organization is doing. I got to be a part of our future. I got to contribute my thoughts and my ideas to being a part of the future. The other thing is once you have that vision statement, that you constantly communicate it. There is nothing worse than slapping it up on the wall and then walking away and not ever applying that. I saw a company that was kind of that way. I worked with them, and they had this vision statement. They wanted to do great things. I mean, they had big dreams for the future, but nobody was paying attention to the vision statement. So again, you had people who were fractured, and they were doing their own thing. They were doing things that were not in alignment with the vision statement. They got a new executive director, and she was constantly, every week at staff meeting, talking about the vision statement, talking about why what they do connects to where they want to be and where they're going. So when you're communicating those 2 things in those 2 ways, it really improves your opportunity for buy-in.
Absolutely. Do you, so we've gone into vision, vision boards, vision mini books. So I brought my vision mini book for the occasion. Yeah. I want to show you guys. So this is the vision mini book that I create. And I do this I teach this to people also because it is so important to have vision. And before COVID hit, I was like, I'm going to write, be featured on my little vision thing. And it has. It's definitely, when you manifest that stuff, it definitely does come back because your mindset is there. You're working toward it. So do you think that, owners should take that time? They should take that time to create something like that. Like, be creative with it, go big, go bold. And I say, it's great if you have an internal document, but even having that on the wall where it's pictures, visuals of where you want to go for the future. Like, I'm sure Walt Disney did that with Space Mountain. I just know he's like, I have to have this roller coaster without lights.
The great thing about COVID is that it has given us an opportunity to throw all the rules out. Mm-hmm. Everything's out. We've had to rethink and realign how we do everything. Well, why not take that into the future? Take that into the future of where when somebody walks in, when we have that opportunity to walk into offices, somebody walks in and you have this case and in it is your vision book, or having it be something that, again, creatively is streaming onto the TV screen, that when somebody walks into the foyer, that they see that. Absolutely. I love that idea. Yeah. We need to, that's the thing is, business people sometimes get really stuck that business is supposed to be very linear and everything's just written and you're not supposed to have pretty pictures. But that's just not the case. And when you communicate your vision in the way that's best for you, then you actually get to be passionate about it. You get to be excited about it. That's, again, more attractive. You're going to get more people excited about being a part of that. So absolutely find different ways to communicate what your vision is and how you're keeping that in front of yourself.
Nate, how about you? Do you have a big vision? Like, you spent days cutting out magazine articles and it's all on your wall for the team to see.
I'm such a paper doll maker. You have no idea.
Paper dolls? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I said it. I dated myself a little bit.
Okay.
My big thing is, I don't quite do it the way you guys are. Y'all are a little too artsy and craftsy for me, but I definitely hop into Visio and map everything we do out. And that comes from projects all the way up into our overall structure. A couple years ago, we started down the road of, we used to be this company that offered like 75 services, and it was just like, we're just all over the places. Whatever you need, I can take care of it because we were agile. The only problem with that is a marketing nightmare to try to tell everybody, and sales as well, try to tell everybody everything that you do. And it lacks pizzazz when you tell everybody, look, if you need it, I can fix it, right? That just doesn't, they're just like, well, I don't know what that means. So, we've been on this process for the past 2 years of breaking one company up into 6 different entities. And so we've got that vision for that. So the first one that we tackled was we turned the original company into just a business consulting and technology company. And then we tackled the first problem that everybody had, that even though we weren't necessarily messing with their marketing as much, they still needed content for training manuals, training videos, safety protocols, everything that you think of when you walk into like a manufacturing company, for instance. When you think of all the content that they actually have that nobody thinks about, producing that, waiting on the client to get that done is a no-go. So we literally created a company that takes care of that on a subscription basis. And so that was step 2 of our vision. And our vision has just always been this: what can we do to provide more value to these companies as a whole and take on that factor of, it's hard to grow a company out in terms of scale when you can't get everything done inside of your own house. And so that's what we look to facilitate.
Right. Well, and you said an operative word there too, Nate, that if you have vision, you have to put it into action, or it just remains a vision. You haven't done anything with it. So if I say, like, my vision is to get on, I want to be up there speaking all the time on stages. Well, if I just say, I'm just going to manifest that, it's going to come to me and I'm not going to do anything about it, is that really going to happen? Or do I now need to put myself in places where I can speak? By the way, I'm going to plug this real quick. Speaking at Social Pulse, LinkedIn edition next Wednesday. You guys should all be there. There's thousands of people coming. It's free, but if you're trying to learn how to use LinkedIn more efficiently, then they have so many great speakers and keynotes that are coming on, and it's a free event. So
super
shameless plug. I had to put that in there. Sorry, guys. It's just so timely.
Sure. Couldn't even wait for the last 2 minutes.
We're talking about vision, and I'm saying I want to do more speaking, and then I have an opportunity to speak at this big event coming up. So yes, this is why I like vision. I like, when you're going to put it out there, now you have to figure out how to get there.
Right.
It can't just be said. You have to actually take the action steps.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've got something for you, Jill. When you're working with when you're doing consulting work, I know when I've done it, and I'm sure Tish is the same way. When you come into these small businesses, or even, there's a lot of mid-market companies that somehow have managed to make themselves millions of dollars, but they still have the same issues as a brand new company has, right? And you have to wonder. But when you come to them and you're talking about making vision statements and just that overall, I think a lot of companies do this thing, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. They get so caught up in we got to come up with a vision statement, a mission statement, a motto, a logo, a branding package. They do all this stuff, right? And they waste all this time and effort. But then they don't even have it tailored to what their business actually is supposed to be, right? Like the vision statement doesn't tie into the fact of, well, I plan on growing my business this way. I plan on making money this way by providing, service or product or whatever. But the all that stuff they put together before they started doesn't even reflect that whatsoever. Like, have you guys run into that a lot? I know I do.
So in reality, a company should take a look at and evaluate their mission statement and their vision statement. So I used to say like every 3 to 5 years. I would definitely say every 2 to 3 years. Things change way too quickly. Companies change. If Toys R Us would have done that, even every 20 years, they might stay around, right?
Yeah.
Like the Toys
Rest
R Us
in peace, Toys R Us.
No. So sad. The Toys R Us catalog for Christmas this year. But you think about that. Like if they were under the mindset of everybody's always going to need toys. Well, yeah, that's true. But you still have to make changes because culture is changing. And so it's absolutely critical that you be looking at your vision statement, your mission statement. How does this align? Does this align? I work with a company, and they have shifted in the last year really about not so much about their core service and who they are at their core, but like their ideal client has shifted and what they want to do for them. So they've had to redo their vision statement and mission statement to be in alignment. Otherwise, if they didn't, then they look like they have no clue what they're doing. Because if I'm a customer or a potential customer, I go to their website and I read their fancy vision statement and mission statement, and then I call them up and I'm talking to them and there's no alignment there, I'm going to be like, nope, that's not happening. So, yeah.
Yeah. I can agree with that.
And companies mature just like people. Who I was 20 years ago is way not who I am today. And so not that I've redone my whole life, but I do life differently than I did 20 years ago. And so I've had to rethink, what I say about who I am. Companies need to be the same way. Yeah.
This is a really good lesson in adapting, like you said, and it should be looked at from time to time. I mean, I think we're all in that mode right now. We're all like, okay, what was working, like you said, what worked 20 years ago is not necessarily working anymore.
Yeah.
I've been in this move for 5 years, to be quite honest. With the technology, everything changes. Like every 6 months, we're like, oh, well, okay, we gotta go in this direction. All right. I know that sounds crazy, but I mean that's just it. And the thing is over the past 5 years, we've changed directions quite a few times, simply because as companies start to pivot and change the way that they do stuff. Like a big move for us this past 12 months was becoming a Microsoft partner, and the reason for that is they've created a ecosystem for you to run your entire business from that a lot of other companies can't offer in one place. You got to pull so many things together. So that was definitely a directional change. And I think a lot of companies, it's difficult, especially the bigger they are, obviously. But like, there's a lot of people that they're not looking for that change that's coming. they're just trying to get by to like next week kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I think that's where they go a little wayward and kind of get stuck.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I'm just making it to next week. And that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And sometimes you got to do that, right? Like sometimes you got to during the hard times. But I'm just saying, like there's companies that I worked with 2 years ago, and I'll check in on them every once in a while, and I'm like seeing where they are, and they're in the exact same spot. And it's just like, if that's what they want, that's fine. But if they're looking to grow, they're well behind the power curve.
Yeah.
Right, right. Can I give a shout out to some people joining us live? Not sure who this is until it comes up on my phone, but LinkedIn user, that might be Bruce, I'm not sure, but hello from sunny and very hot Los Angeles. We've also got Becky Williams and Jennifer Lowry who said good points, all good. So this is good stuff. I like this. I do like this. I like this topic a lot. All right, Nate, did you have something else you wanted to add on that point?
I got questions for days. I know you
do. I know. That's why I make you the questions guy, and I just field the comments.
But if you have one to ask, go for it. It's up to you. You got one?
I'll keep thinking about some more questions. Right. I mean, my thing is because I'm more solopreneur, like. So my vision, I know when I started my marketing company back in 2004, so this was the first company I started, everyone's like, you have this great vision to be this like big ad agency and you're, in downtown Phoenix with 50 employees. And I was like, nope, not at all. Not at all. I'm very boutique. I like working with people one-on-one. I love that mentor client relationship. So I've never had this intention of hiring all of these people to do what I love best.
Yeah.
Like I'll hire people to do things I hate, but the things that I love, I'm going to hang on to. It's just like I wouldn't say, yes, hire me to speak, but I'm setting my assistant to do the talk. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So, I think it's good. I think that this is good that, sometimes our vision is really just our own vision, and maybe we have a couple of people that we work with, or maybe we're more of there are a lot of people that are entrepreneurs that are outsourcing, but they've never had this intention of building it to where they have employees and a big skyrise, and that's okay. It really is what matters to you. Where's your soul taking you? Like, what does your heart say? What does your head say? And keep moving. You can still have a very successful big company, even just having you as the face.
Yep, totally. And if it is just you, if it is, that you're doing your thing, that's where it goes back to the fluidity of vision. Not that you're changing your vision all the time, because then you just come across like wishy-washy and like, you don't know what you're doing. But to be adapting, like, just like we said, my vision for my life 5 years ago is nothing like what it is now. So
Right. Well, you said that before, Jill, like when you were in your 20s, I think your vision was just to like go to the club and get a drink and meet a nice guy.
Yes.
Your vision has changed a lot. Your vision should be changing. It should be ever evolving. That's not my vision now. But I'm just saying, like your vision should be changing and evolving with you through the seasons as well.
Right.
Years ago, I never would have said, yeah, I want to be doing professional speaking and I want to be up on stages. But now I'm like, that's where my mind is. And that's where I'm going to keep working at it.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, and Nate, I love that you said that before you were like, we're the jack of all trades. We do it all. And now you've really streamlined it and you've made it different entities. So you can market them a little differently and identify who those target markets are.
Yep.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was a huge change, and it hurt for 2 years, to be quite honest with you, because we had to transition from a lot of clients that we've had for years, and so we were just I watched revenue go away, and it was simply because it's like we can't take on what we want to do next with what we've got going on. It wasn't anything against him; it was just a change. But I mean, we definitely. That was just a crossroads we had to cross. And, there's some people that would take that leap and there's some people that wouldn't. And I'm not going to sit here and act like it went smoothly.
When does it ever? It never goes smoothly.
No. But I mean, it worked out for the best. And speaking to that point, Jill, how do you work with people when you come in and you find that they're kind of lost in their way, when you're talking to their employees or just themselves? they don't really know what they're doing. They're just hustling around trying to get a side gig going, or trying to get a client. And it's not even a client for their services. Cause I know I've been there. That's how I wound up doing 75 services. It's like, you don't need much time. That's fine. Do social media. What do you got?
Yep.
I do it all.
Yeah. It's just like, all I need is a client. I don't care what you want me to do. I'll take care of it. But there's a lot of people that are like that way, right? Because that's that mentality of like, I'm just trying to make it the next week kind of thing. So how do you help them out in giving them guidance? Because I know they're going to meet you, like opposing forces, because it's like, no, I got to pay my bills next week. I can't. Mission statements is the last thing, or vision statements is the last thing on my mind. But they obviously need it. So how do you get through that little barrier?
So really, it is about helping people learn how to live in the now and the what's next. So there is absolutely a need to, especially for smaller companies, they have to be servicing their clients. They have to be hustling. You're right. They don't always have time to take a weekend off and gather all their staff and do a retreat and a leadership retreat and figure all this stuff out. So how do they balance that? And a lot of times I'll start asking them questions. It'll be just talking with them on a weekly basis and finding out what's going well. Where are you at now? Where do you want to be? And then helping them make that transition. What is the plan? What's the transition plan to get from what you're doing right now that really does not align with your vision of the future? And then what are the steps that you need to take to get to that place? And then what are the steps you need to do to actually fulfill that vision? So yeah, you're right. I mean, people have to work, and they have to be running their business now. It's not about shutting it all down. I mean, that is something that is kind of cool about COVID is we had to shut everything down, and now we're getting this opportunity to restart. So why not take advantage of this time to come out as being what you're envisioning that you want to be, that you want your company to be? Start taking those steps now that you have the opportunity for it.
Right. That's good. I like that. I like that message of, think about now, of course, but then also be thinking about what's next.
Yes.
Because you have to already be thinking ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. We cannot live, and that's part of sometimes people's problem is we cannot live in this reactive mindset all the time. There has to be, there's adaptability, there's flexibility, there is being aware of what's happening and knowing when you have to make that shift. But we also have to be proactive. We are not victims to whatever life may throw. Are there things that happen that we have to react to? Absolutely. But for the most part, we get to determine what our next steps are going to be. Even when everything's shut down, those of us who are working for ourselves, who work from home already, we had the opportunity to then not be like, oh, woe is me and life is going to end and, oh, what am I going to do? It's okay. What am I going to pivot? What am I going to change? How am I going to take these next steps forward?
Right. Yeah. Good stuff.
I agree with that. All right, Jill. Well, we got a couple more minutes, and we definitely want to make sure we give you an opportunity to kind of do your selfless plug since Tisha took yours earlier.
I did not take it. It was part of my story. I was talking about my vision, and then I parlayed it into the speaking gig I have. That's about LinkedIn. So it's a resource. It's a resource for everybody tuning in. Social Pulse. I'm just going to leave you with that. Social Pulse. All right, Jill, you have something that you wanted to give to our viewers as well. So why don't you take a couple minutes to talk about what that is?
Yeah, thank you so much for letting me talk about this. I'm really excited. I love to do what I do. I love to provide strategies for businesses in their people development and helping them create employees who are engaged and excited to come into work, getting to that next now. And so in doing that, there's a couple of different things I actually have going on right now. I've been kind of pivoting pretty fast. So next Friday, in a week from now at 12:30 p.m. Pacific time, I am doing a free webinar on communication. And it's about cracking the communication code and understanding that we communicate based on our personality. So we're going to talk about personality and we're going to talk about communication. And the way that I run my webinars is there is no sales pitch at the end. So people can definitely enjoy it and know that they're not going to get pitched at the end. And then for people who are like, well, I don't need to go to your webinar, I really want to start working with you now, then I love to help people. And so what I want to do is just offer a 30-minute strategy session. Again, no sales pitch at the end, but let's take a look at what's going right. Where do you want to be? Some of the things that we talked about today with vision. What is your vision of the future? What is not working? What are some of those obstacles? We'll come up with a little strategy of how you can start taking some next steps right now and immediately implement that. And I'm giving that away for free as well. People can find me on LinkedIn, send me a message and say, hey, I want that.
Awesome. I love it. So just a couple of hellos to the people who joined us. So where I'm at in my co-working space, LinkedIn just goes down. So we have a lot of LinkedIn users. They're coming up in the comments, no names, but thank you to everybody. There's some great comments here about, yes, we need to innovate. We need to be proactive. So a lot of these points that you've shared, Jill, hitting the nail on the head with a lot of our viewers today as well. Thanks for the congratulations, whoever that was. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. And yeah, so thank you, Jill, for being on with us today on Casual Convo Friday. Nate, always a pleasure having having the stage with you on Fridays. And make sure that you check in next Friday. We've got another hot seat guest for us. And everybody have a great weekend. Ellie put yes, queen. Okay. Yes, queen. All right. All right. Bye, guys.
See you guys later.